All right, everybody, we're here with Emily Rashid, Gold Wellness Advocate, and she's agreed to just take a little bit of time with us and let me ask her some questions. And we're going to try to behave through it all, which will be near impossible. Tell us, how did you first hear about doTERRA?
I first heard about doTERRA from my friend Amy Baumans. No, I'm just kidding. It was actually your mom. It was Melissa. And I was in college and I was having like tons of digestive issues through my whole life. And she was like, you have to try this oil. And she gave me this tiny little sample of Digestin. And I used it and felt like an immediate difference of like, wow, I really feel different. I feel better. And then we like met in the Starbucks and she opened up all these oils and I smelled citrus bliss and I think she gave me a whole bottle. And I remember I used it so much that at one point I turned to the side and I realized my armpits smelled like citrus bliss. It was like coming out of my pores. So that was my first experience, the Digestin and citrus bliss.
Weren't you at the kitchen table when she first got her little kit? And wasn't it you and I who sat side by side and like opened it up and smelled the bottles?
That's possible. I remember nothing.
Okay,
My memory is at Starbucks of her opening everything up.
Okay, so you were there when she first got her kit with me. And it was like the family physician's kit back then.
Yeah.
And like opened up that little box and like we smelled them all. And I think that I probably got our kit first, but you weren't that far behind.
No, yeah, it was shortly thereafter. But I had tried the sample it was a few weeks of being
Okay.
like, oh, I don't know what I think. And then I ended up with the family physician's kit too.
So you enrolled with the family physician's kit. That's what you did. Okay, got it. Okay, so when you first got your kit, were you like, oh, I'm going to share these with other people, or tell us a little bit about that process?
There's no way. No, I was like, definitely not. It was just something I wanted to use. And then, James and I moved overseas, but I was using them and loving them so much when I was working at the school, I was in special ed and using that with like teachers, and teachers were like, I was talking about oils all the time. And I was like, Amy had been talking to me for like and Melissa, a long time, like months and months, about doing the business. And I was like, I'm super not interested in that. Just really not interested. Because I had like a lot of people had like bad experiences with network marketing. And so, then I was just a realization of like, I'm talking about this all the time anyway. I might as well get paid for it. And so, I called you. It was almost exactly 6 years ago, right? 5 or 6 years ago.
I was in my plaid chair. I was in my plaid chair in like Little Whitney, and you were like, I have to tell you something. I was like, what? I was like, and then my heart was like going, and you were like, I think I'm sharing oils with other people. I think I'm doing this. That's literally what it was.
I was like, I've decided to do this, and I haven't told you because I've been too anxious, but I've been like selling kits.
Selling things like James and I remember like crystal clear, like what it looked like out my window, all the things. I'm surprised you remember it though. It's good.
No, I don't remember nothing, but I do remember that.
Was that before or after we kidnapped you and took you to the business training? After.
That was after, because that was the real time, your white triangle. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing it. That won't make any sense to people watching. But
no.
I was like, why would you pay for me to go to this training? I'm not even doing doTERRA, but it was all part of your grand plan.
So Em wanted to go I had a baby shower in Illinois. And so in order for me to go from Wisconsin to Illinois, we were going to pass through Appleton essentially. And we were like, well, so you were like, well, I'm going to come. And I was like, well, we're going to a business training while we're there too. So like, we're not going to leave you somewhere. So
I was like, boo.
You came with us to that with Justin Harrison. You remember Heather Patnod? And I biffed a lady with my baby belly so hard.
I remember.
Knocked her out. But that was kind of the beginning of getting your wheels turning.
It was. Yeah,
So if
totally
you
was.
want a new builder, get pregnant, beat a woman with your belly, kidnap your best friend to take her to a business trip.
You heard it here first, folks.
Take her to Naf Naf Girl. It was really the pita bread that solidified it.
The pita, the life-changing pita bread. Okay, none of
Okay,
this will make
so
sense to anyone
you
else.
started sharing oils and you were still working at the school. How do you feel like you were able to incorporate that into what you were doing at school?
Yeah, so that was really cool because it was still like early enough in the world of oils where I feel like people were still sort of unfamiliar. And working in special ed, I kind of had a lot of freedom to like, I just kind of like brought my diffuser in. I just like didn't really ask. I was just like, I'm just gonna do this. But really knowing and learning about what the oils could do and what I'd seen them do for us made me be like, why wouldn't we? I worked in a public school. I wasn't like applying them to the children, but like seeing it firsthand. So I could like put in tune on my wrist and work with a student and literally see him perform better than he did the day before. And so things like that, just incorporating, like being able to, especially balance, like loving the kids who need that extra balance and just having that going, and having the teachers see the difference too is a pretty easy thing to incorporate. But that was earlier on. I feel like it's a little trickier now depending on what school you're at with what you're allowed to do with oils now.
What do you recommend? And so was it when you were pregnant, when did doTERRA become it for you? When were you done with working at the school?
Yeah, I think like, so I just had this realization, like I loved my job at the school, I really did, but it was this realization of like, I can do this job for 30 years and in 30 years I will still be a parapro in special ed. Like there's not like room for advancement there. Like you'll still be in the same position. Um, and just being like, I don't actually want that. And so it just kind of came naturally, and finding that I really enjoyed it and finding something that was mine, and like something I could keep like growing with. And so then when I got pregnant with Evie, was being like, I don't even know how sure I was until I had her, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm staying home with her. And so to be able to like work full time and build my business alongside of that, equipped me like in a really low pressure way to then when I had Evie be like, now I'm home and we have this extra money because I had already established this business.
That makes sense. So you're home now with your two girls. You've got doTERRA going on. Tell me, like, what are ways that you infuse the things that you're passionate about into what you do with the oils?
hmm. Yeah, I think one, just like heading into having been doing this for 5 or 6 years now, being like, we've all like learned and grown together as we figured it out, and now having enough tools to be like, to be able to help people use their strengths. Like what you're good at is not going to be what I'm good at. And I feel like I've seen people, myself included, kind of feel like they're failing along the way because it's not this way or like this thing, and being like, no, this really can fit you wherever you're at, whatever your personality is, whatever, your social media following is, like whatever, it can fit into what you're naturally good at and what you naturally excel at. And so I feel like wanting to do more with my business in that way. But just I feel like having two kids, being home, I really love it. It's exactly what I want to be doing, but it's also a beautiful thing to have something that's just mine, like this is my business. It's like separate. It's a part of my family, but it's also separate from it. Like, it's like, I don't know. I feel like I don't know if I'm explaining this well. My whole world doesn't have to be just about these two amazing humans that I take care of. It's like also this other thing, and that's like good for me.
I feel the same way. I also think you're really good at, like, I think about the things that you love. Like, you love your family, you love coffee, you like enroll coffee shops, you like love helping people. And, I think of like the organizations you've worked with, and yeah,
Mhm.
and I can't always name them well.
No,
but
that's okay. Yeah, so, like I've helped that's true. That answers your question more, like,
oh,
better. You know
I
the
like what you
answers better
said.
than I do. No, but that makes more sense. Yeah, I do love coffee, and so I've been able to, like, naturally meet people that own and work at the coffee shops and could enroll, like, bakers in different places, and, then, yeah, working with domestic abuse, like, shelters and helping them use the oils for their clients that are staying there. And I just feel like that's been a really beautiful piece of like the way God has redeemed things in my story to be like, oh, this is a way I can like freely serve these people. And so, yeah, I feel like it's the individualization in me. You can like apply this to anything, to any business, any like situation. Everyone needs oil. So
It is that individualization in you. You're not gonna like this question at all, but I'm gonna ask it anyway.
can't
What
wait.
I know. What do you want to create with doTERRA?
Hmm. Yeah, so I'm like not a futuristic person at all. Um, so I don't really know the answer to that. I feel like earlier on it was a clearer picture of like this is the rank that I want to be at by this date. And I
Mm,
don't have that anymore, but I'm like good with that. So I don't know. I would have never like predicted what it would look like now, and
mm,
what a blessing it is. Like I just feel like the financial piece of it, like having that extra money, I don't know what that's going to look like years down the road, but I know this is something I'm like, I'm in it, right? I'm like in it for the long haul. And so I'm game for whatever that's going to look like, but just continuing to being like, oh, wow, that's actually an option for us now because of this extra money with doTERRA, or like,
mhm.
yeah, these relationships are really dear to me. And this is a person I met through a person, through a person, through a person who is a customer, you know what I mean? So it's just cool in that way. So I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't have a specific vision of it, of course, but I'm just like good with kind of taking it as it comes.
I like it. What do you feel like is the biggest benefit you've gotten out of what you've created with doTERRA? You can
Mm.
you can share more than one.
The biggest benefit. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think just what I said, like the first thing that comes to mind is being like certain things are financially available to us that wouldn't be like my husband works for a nonprofit, right? Like we're really glad of that, but we're not like rolling in cash, but we're able to do things that I'm like I'm that we don't have to like think twice about. Like we're able to like give money to places that I don't have to, like even if whether it's like donating things or donating money or like buying good coffee or like things that we love, being like, oh, we could feasibly like get a car, a different car, a bigger vehicle, things like that.
Mhm.
And so I think that has been something that we're both continually like, oh wow, that's pretty great. But really like I don't know, just so how many like fun memories of like these work trips with your like dear friends and those relationships. It's like a really precious piece of it all. So yeah.
Why, if you were to say to somebody who's like considering like loving their oils and like, oh, I don't know, should I share them? What would that look like? Like, why should somebody like, why is now a good time to start sharing doTERRA oils?
I think now because we like have spent years like gathering all these tools, and I'm like I wouldn't trade those years for the world. Like it made our businesses what they are, but I feel like we all collectively have so many different tools in our tool belt now that it's like I feel like we can help you. Like now's the time because all the tools are at your disposal
Mhm.
and we know everything there is to know. That's a joke.
We're amazing.
But I do feel like, oh my word, how many like trainings and how many, like systems and different things have we learned and gathered to be like piece things together and direct people in a more clear path that I feel like you don't have to. That's what you and your mom would always say to me too. You don't have to like we've made all the mistakes so you don't have to. Like I'll help you with structure because I know what not to do, right? And so I think things like that, just being like, yeah, we can help walk you through it because there's a lot that we've like learned and done wrong and now know how to do different.
School of Hard Knocks.
Totally.
I love it. I love it. Well, thanks for taking the time to share. I think you're great. I think what you've created is great too. So thank you.
Thanks.